Hi, I am so excited to have Susan here with us today. Susan has been such an inspiration to me, and I enjoy gardening, and so when I first saw the creations that Susan made with paper, I just was so inspired, and so I'm so excited to have her here to share with you today how it is that she creates the most incredible lilies out of paper. Susan is an expert at this. And I'm so lucky to have you as a friend. She's written 2 books at this point, and they will share with you all of the information as to how to create these flowers, and so it's such a privilege to have you here to share it in person. The first book is The Paper Garden, and it shares a lot of techniques on how to actually go about creating flowers out of paper, and it was written in 2006. And back at that point was when Susan started designing punches as well. And she would draw the images, and this is going to be the punch that we use today. It's the lily. And we're going to create an Easter lily to put atop this darling little cake box. And so I'm so excited that we're going to be able to do that. Then the next book that Susan wrote is called The Paper Bouquet, and it has 40
flowers.
40 flowers in it with all the details as to how to create these beautiful blooms. And so what we're going to do is we're going to touch on this beautiful art form today and share how it is that Susan makes these special lilies. One of the questions that I would like for Susan to answer for us today is what motivated her to get started in this, and when did you start?
Yeah, I think if you know I'm from the Pacific Northwest, and you would probably say the rain, but actually I started when I lived in Connecticut back in 1996. A very good friend of mine who's also a gardener, Gwen Berg, and I got started on playing with punches and seeing something more than a two-dimensional shape out of them. You can say the gardening sense of us came out that we wanted to see something dimensional, and with 104 inches of snow that winter pushed me into gardening indoors, is what I call it. So that's when I started back then. Gwen had actually done some things, had taught in a store that I frequent, and got hooked on it, and we just started meeting together, and the inspiration. Now I moved here in 2001, and so I've actually, not having my friend with me, I had to go further and seeing flowers really develop from my gardening and noticing them, because actually flowers bring a lot of peace to me. That you look at their detail and their wonderment of the colors that you see in your garden, and that's what I strive to create, is something that you can recognize, that you've either gotten as a bouquet from a special someone, or you grow these flowers yourself. And so that's how I got started.
Thank you so much, Susan. You're going to notice the green thumb, because she actually has a green thumb, and we're going to show how we color our fingers to be green sometimes too. So what we're going to do is we are going to be right back and get focused in on getting started.
So getting started, let's go over a few supplies you'll need for this. I'm using a mat. It's by Pergamano, and it's about 3/8 of an inch thick, and it's very dense, so it'll give you a nice surface to press the paper upon. The other thing is the toolkits itself, or the tools. There's a stylus pen that you can put in different colored nibs. There's 5 different sizes, and you go from a large ball down to a very tiny ball that you'll need for doing your veining and your stems. So if you simply turn it to the right to open the pen and put your nib in, and then tighten it, you've got it all set to work on the paper. Some of the other little things that I use is the glue. I'm using the Ultimate, Crafter's Pick Ultimate, and it's the one that I've used for the whole 15 years that I've been doing this. It dries quickly, it dries clear, and will set up your flowers in probably about 5 minutes. They'll go clear in about 30 minutes. So it's really important to have a good glue with a nice viscosity that will give shape to your flowers. Some of the other things we're using today are the punches. These are punches that I've designed and create to make your the shapes. This is the lily petals, and so for this flower it needs 6 of the one size. You'll notice there's 4 sizes on here, so you can go. I'm going to use today on the box the very largest one and the next to the large. The other ones, don't throw them away, put them aside, because for all you card makers, they're great for that. They're the perfect size and pieces. Plus, this punch is also used for the leaves, and I will use all 4 sizes for the leaves to create that natural look of the lily. You need a base, or as we say in gardening, you need a calyx, and that's created using this snowflake. It's got 6 projections on it because there's 6 petals to the lily. The other part of the flower is the stamen, and that is the part where it has the pistils at the end, and the part that the bees love, and that's what gives fragrance to the flower. That's created with this snowflake, and as you'll see, the snowflake has these little balls on the projections, and that's what we'll color. And actually later I'll show you another little trick of how I add more detail to it using another product called Flower Soft. So with those 3 punches, this flower is possible and very easy to do. So we've got tools, we've got the punches, and then a few other little tricks as we go along I'll mention, so you have dimension to your flowers even more. One of the things that Ellen challenged me to do, now of course the lily is white, so we have we would start with white paper normally, but to add color to the flowers, we're going to use some new products that she's carrying, and this is the Faber-Castell pastels. And I like these because, as you can see with my finished flower here, we've got nice detail with the shading, and that you won't get with anything else. And that's what's important when you want to try to make these flowers as natural as possible. So if we look at the mat here, I've punched out 6 pieces. I'm doing the larger lily right now, the very large piece. And what I'm going to start with is my lighter color. It is a pale yellow, number 104. And by simply adding some shading lines, and you're just coloring. This we learned in grade school, so this is not anything difficult to do. And then what I like to do is take a blending pad and just add a little bit of pushing the color around, giving it that pale yellow color that you see down the center of the lily. So now we've gone from white to a little bit of color, and now we're going to add that chartreuse green that you've seen in the lily, and that is just by stroking a couple lines going up, because again, as we blend them in, that's going to give the depth of this flower and the detail that you'll need. So there, you've got a couple little strokes. Again, go to your blending pad and then just simply go over it a little bit to give it, in fact, I'm going to add a little bit more green to it, a little bit darker. It could be, because you do want to notice that. That'll be part of the center, and you'll just, as you're looking down to the flower there, have that nice chartreuse green. Now we're moving over to the mat to shape these. There are 5 different techniques that I use and that I've come up with. Using the large ball of the stylus, and I simply, as I did, open it up and change them. I'm going to do what's called shaping, and that's very simply pressing down on the paper as if you're giving it a massage, just rubbing it. restructures the paper a little bit, and now all of a sudden you see some dimension come up with it. You've gone from 2 dimension up to 3 just by simply shaping. But when you see mine up close, I've also added some detail with that. I call it like a stem line, because these do look like leaves. And the way I get that, I take it off of my mat, and I'm using the product that Ellen used on the box is her Craftaboard that she's covered with paper that she'll explain to you. But I like the surface. It's probably maybe a 32nd of an inch.
Yeah, I'm not sure
how tall. But turning it over on the wrong side. So I flipped the colored side over and using the very smallest nib, or the very smallest ball that comes in your set. All you do is run a line up. And I actually stroke it a couple times.
And do you go all the way to the top, or do you leave
the
top?
I don't go all the way to the top. I don't know if you can get the detail on that to see how.
Let's try and zoom in.
Yeah, let's see how far we can get on that to see the line. But what I've done is, now that you look at it on the right side, and once we start we're doing something else called pinching, and that's by taking your tweezers, and these are self-closing.
Yep.
Are they,
Yep.
is that
Yep,
what they call them?
that's the terminology,
I've always called them reverse, but self-closing. I pinch that stem end. Now here's your butt end, here's your stem end, and pinch it around the tip of the tweezer. So it not only brings up the flower a little bit, but by pinching it, it accentuates that stem line that I placed on it by drawing the line with the stylus. If you're right-handed, switch it to your left hand, holding that pinch. And now I'm going to go back over to the mat, and using the large ball again that I used when I did the shaping, I'm going to add some dimension at the end by just pressing down. Now I've done a little curl, and I'm pinching. But now you're going to do a little bending on the outer leaves, just so you don't have them so flat, because there's curves and detail into everything. So now you've got a nice petal that's all put together with the detail that you want. It's got the color, it's got the shape. Notice the difference between flat and 3-dimension.
Oh, it's beautiful.
We're going to take the calyx, which is that smaller snowflake, and we're going to do something I call stirring. Now I'm a baker, so bear with me with my terminology here. So by just going around the edge, circling it counterclockwise, you've now sprung up those projections. So it's going to hold these petals for you and hold them up.